Part 3 of the movie begins and a kid Reed is shown in the classroom who is expressing his aims. He tells, I wanted to be like that. I may teleport myself at any time or anywhere, and I am also working on such a device. Then teacher says to him, leave the world of imagination and tell him again tomorrow what you want to be. He also has a boy in his class named Ben who had a great quarrel with his elder brother. Ben hears a sound as the night falls. Going into his scrapyard, Reed is stealing his power electronic device. Now, Ben could punish Reed on this stealing, but this electronic device belonged to his brother who used to beat him, so he gives it to him. Here a good friendship bond is developed between them, and they both begin to build this machine together. Then it is seen that a few years are passed and they both have grown up. One day, there is held a science exhibition in their school where they also take their machine there. All were making fun of their device. Suddenly, two persons appear there. The girl name is Susan. Between them, that man says to her, I want to award you scholarship. It was pleasurable to hear by Reed, so he is extremely excited. Then he goes there for study. One day, he is in library and Susan is also there. He started to tell her about a book. Then it is noticed that professor who had awarded Reed scholarship. The founder demand the professor to give them a responsible thing in its place. Then we will be able to help out your firm. Then professor tells them about the device of his student, that you will get much benefit from it. There is also a boy named Victor and professor leads him to Reed, and Susan is also there. He says to him, work on this project coming efforts of all three. Here it is revealed that Victor detests this world and he wanted the destruction of the world. He is also here because he was interested in Susan. On the other side, it is observed that Professor's son Johnny is driving his father's car and he damages his father's car in an accident. In return, Professor asks him to join the project group of the kids with us. Then they all four begins to work on that project. Meantime, it is seen that Reed and Susan had befriended closely and Victor used to angry seeing it. The project was completed perfectly and they chose an app to carry out the experiment using this device. Their plan included resurrecting the ape after he had been launched into space. But the founder of this project suggests that why not NASA should be included in it. But no one agrees with it because NASA will be credited for this project in such a way. They say world remembers that man who stopped at the first time on moon. They say world remembers that man who stepped at the first time on the moon. But no one knows who built that space flight which led that man there. At the first, we will all three will go to the another world, so the world may remember us. We will be the first human being to step into another world, and you may include the effort of NASA later. Reed wanted to take Ben with him because both friends had struggled hard together for many years. When they all four begins to put their flag reaching there, then they view a green light which was inside its surface. Its head began to separate in its surroundings. Now it is noticed that Victor started to put his hand into that green lava substance. As a result, that lava is burst and they all four begins to run, but Victor falls into that substance. Now all three try to come back, but spacecraft is not receiving the signals. Seeing them, Susan helps them as they may come back on Earth in some way. The radiation of space also descended on the Earth with them as they arrive there. Susan is also affected by them. Now the various superhuman strength had penetrated in them and they were bound at a place. Releasing his hand, Reed goes to Ben, but he notices that Ben has totally converted into stone man. Reed says to him, I will bring the things into their normal form. Then the founders of this project reach there. They tell, we will revert you, but you will have to care us in return. Then they train all three of them for 1 year. These founders wanted to build their own military, so they were making quantum gate and they select Johnny as a warrior. Susan reveals it, going to the professor, but he does not want any battle on the part of his son. Then he requests Susan, call back Reed so he may help us coming there. But they were annoyed with Reed who had felt leaving them behind. But professor is dejected here and says, here to an extent, Johnny is your brother. Do you expect his death in any battle? Then Susan begins to search for him as being sentimental, and by good future she knows about his location. Susan asks his help that we have to bake a cake, so he helps Reed in baking a cake. Now it is seen that some of the scientists moves into that world and they find Victor there. Then they brings Victor back with them. They ask him, how do you survive for a long time? He tells them, there was such types of the radiation which had secured my life. I was getting strengthened along with it. The spacesuit worn by him before departing to space had converted into a steel suit, which had shielded his body completely. Victor tells, I wanted to start my life and I don't care if this world is ruined for it. Then he begins to hit those people violently standing near him, and he also reached that quantum gate along with it. Professor elaborates, you can also live with us, but he puts Professor into death in fury and flies to another world. Going to another world, Victor begins to pull everything from this. Then it is observed that they all four move to another world using another path, and they begins to fly with him, and they beat Victor down there. They had got success in their expedition, and the part 3 of the movie is also completed on this scene. Stay with us, stay connected, and thanks for watching.